One of the key reasons President Biden wants to stick to his August 31st deadline is because of his concern of a terror attack. And one of the groups identified by his national security team has been named ISIS-K. So who are they? And what sort of threat do they carry? Well, we know that since around 2015, this ISIS splinter group mostly existed in the eastern part of Afghanistan. This region is part of the historic area of Khorasan, which included Afghanistan, Pakistan and Central Asia, and how the group came to be known as ISIS-K. Over the past 5 years, they've claimed responsibility for some particularly deadly attacks across Afghanistan, targeting politicians, religious minorities and the Taliban. The concern is that they've suddenly disappeared from view, having been completely inactive since the day before Kabul fell. Security analysts say they tend to lay low for one of two reasons. Either they are in survival mode or they're planning something. Well, we can now speak to Javed Ali, who's a former senior director for counter-terrorism at the US National Security Council. Mr. Ali, thank you very much for making the time for us. Can you just explain to us, how do ISIS-K fit into the bigger ISIS picture?
So thanks for having me. And ISIS-K, or ISIS Khorasan, as you alluded to, has been an official branch of ISIS Core since 2015, even though ISIS Core in Iraq and Syria has been degraded and disrupted and lost their caliphate. ISIS Khorasan, one could argue, that has remained one of the most active and viable branches of that broader ISIS family. So they have conducted a series of high impact and spectacular and unfortunately lethal attacks across Afghanistan. So this is a group that needs to be taken very seriously. And based on the recent statements by members of the administration, it would appear that there's either some form of intelligence or other type of information suggesting that units or fighters aligned with ISIS Khorasan are thinking about or planning to conduct an attack. And so that's another reason why this withdrawal, at least on the United States side, seems to be accelerated.
How much do we know about the group's makeup and what kind of numbers they have on the ground?
So the group is mostly made up of fighters from Afghanistan and or Pakistan who either were previously in the Taliban or other armed groups in the region, and the Taliban either in Afghanistan or in Pakistan. So it seems to be a local group for the most part, but the UN and other organizations have noted that over the past few years that apparently there have been Arab fighters as well from Iraq and Syria or other parts of that broader ISIS enterprise. So this is something that also needs to be explored. So what is the composition of the group right now? How strong is it? Is it in the few hundreds? Is it the low thousands? I don't believe it's probably bigger than that, but this is a group that has not been militarily defeated. And as the attacks have shown over the past few years, maintains infrastructure, logistics, and has the people to carry out these lethal attacks inside Afghanistan.
We've seen these pictures of thousands of people gathered outside the airport. Based on analysis you've seen and based on the group's previous activities, what kind of things might they be capable of?
Well, unfortunately, when we have a situation like what's unfolding in Afghanistan right now at the airport, when you've got large numbers of civilians who are massed together, for the most part unprotected outside of the Western troops that are there, that unfortunately presents, if the opportunity exists, an attractive target for a group like ISIS Khorasan. So one can imagine a number of different scenarios that could unfold. There could be a small arms attacks, there could be improvised explosive devices, suicide bombers, and these are all tactics and techniques that ISIS Khorasan has already proved they could carry out inside Afghanistan. So just the sheer volume of people in close proximity and close quarters presents the potential for attacks. Whether they happen or not remains to be seen. Hopefully they do not.
Okay, Javed Ali, former senior director for counter-terrorism at the US National Security Council. Thanks very much for making the time for us.
Thank you.